Greetings, ladies and gents. So, I'm gonna start off by saying it's taken me a while to figure out how I was gonna do this. Um, of course, you know, due to my music background and my creative background, you learn that the best way of doing anything is to just fucking do it, and then you know let the chips fall where they may. So before I start structuring a weekly time, or depending on how much attention this gets and how popular it gets, it could go from a weekly deal to a several times or a couple times a week deal, but it's just kind of dependent on the demand. um I personally love getting on here and talking, especially when it comes to the things that I'm passionate about and the things that I love. Uh, you know, Anyone who knows me knows, first and foremost, music is my first love. That's always going to be priority to me. Um, but I also love combat sports, MMA, UFC, PFL, Bellator, Pride. If you go back that far in history, uh, boxing. I'm getting back into the swing of things there, and I'm liking what I'm seeing through boxing. In some areas, we'll touch on that. Um, and of course, just life in general. There's things that you know, along with talking sports, to keep the blood pressure down and keep positive vibes going, talking music and all the good stuff. There is a time and a place to be able to address serious things that are going on in the world and going on in our lives, which you know if you're currently familiar, or even shit, I don't even need to say that, if you're not living under a rock, you know very well as to what's going on in the world right now. So I don't even need to touch on that yet. If I did say anything about it, it's going to be at the end of the video. um I'll make some points as I go through. But let's get to why I decided to do this live. So for the past couple months, there's a few MMA blogs or vlogs that I follow here on YouTube. The MMA Guru is one of them. The Weasel's another one. Of course, Morning Combat with Luke Thomas and BC. I catch Ariel's show every now and again. And then of course, your other drop spots for news, like MMA Junkie and shit like that. Um, but what's been happening these during that stretch of time is I went from just kind of observing and watching the videos, and then kind of going through the comments to see what fans have to say. And I don't I'll tell you this, I don't want to get into the habit of calling uh, fans of the sport, or separating or putting in cubby holders the fans of the sport. Calling people casuals versus hardcores and shit like that. I think that's kind of corny. Um, it almost dips into the elitist mentality that is currently a cancer within the rock and roll culture. It's been a cancer for a while. These little genre elitists who, if you don't dress or talk or listen to the right type of music, then you're fake and you're not a real this or that type of shit. That's what's bleeding into MMA. But I'm starting to think that it's just a part of the human condition for people to do that. Um, Nonetheless, I've been getting in the comments, reading what people have to say. I'm not here to down anyone or to shit on anyone or anything like that, because that's not what my point is here. But you know, I came across a few takes that seemed pretty uninformed. You know what I'm saying? These people uh, seem to have been only watching MMA or combat sports, or getting into combat sports recently, or they haven't been there that long. So they say some things, and they sound they're how they put things and the words they use and all that. It sounds pretty convincing, and they say with such conviction the things that they say, but without an ounce of knowledge, without an ounce of know or anything like that. And then they get into these spouts and bouts in the comments with other fans, and it gets pretty ugly. And so I got to a point where I was like, I'm not doing no videos no more. I'm not commenting on stuff no more, because I just don't like to deal with the ugliness in people, dude. Like it brings out the ugliness in me, and that's just not good for people to live by. But I've in the last couple years, I've developed a patience and a zen about me and my spirit and my life. And so I've learned to not observe or pay attention to that stuff. And if it does come my way, just don't engage with it. You know what I'm saying? I decided that I'm gonna start going in there, and I'm gonna put my take, and then see what happens, see what people have to say, right? And so a few times, man, I got some very favorable responses from people. Be that likes on what I had to say, or people who were convicted by what I said, so they decided to engage, and they wanted to have a conversation about this, which I'm always all for conversation, especially when it comes to sports and it comes to things like this, like sharing knowledge, socializing, talking, things like that keeps stuff fresh, keeps it fun, keeps people interested. You know what I'm saying? So been getting these favorable responses and stuff like that, and had a couple of messages suggesting, hey man, why don't you do podcasts? You know what I mean? Like, your takes are really good, your picks are really good. You know what I mean? Where does your knowledge come from? So quick overdraft. My knowledge comes way back to like when the UFC was damn near no rules, no gloves. This Hoist Gracie, Tank Abbott, and all that stuff back in the day. And I got into it because I got into my first fight and I lost. And my mom's like, you're never gonna lose another fight again, or I'm gonna kick your ass. And so she had a guy that she was dating at the time, was an ex-Vietnam vet, who showed me these. Well, first of all, he brought over the illegal black box for pirating pay-per-view. I know a shit ton of you people, or I know some of you people may not be old enough to remember that. But for those of us who are old enough to remember that, it's a little black box, like cable box you put on top of your TV, connected with the little wire, and bam, you had pay-per-view. You was watching down. And so he showed me the channel and was like, watch this. This is all you're doing. This is your life. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what you do until the next time I see you. I'm like, bet. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm all for it at this point, because I'm a young man. Of course I don't want to lose a fight. You know what I'm saying? And I'm definitely not trying to get my ass kicked by my mom. You know what I mean? Rest in peace. She was a short, little, ferocious lady. So watch these, you know what I'm saying? While being taught self-defense, And truth be told, man, time goes by. I got more into WWF at the time and got into Power Rangers and other stuff. So I kind of didn't watch the UFC and kind of fell out of touch with it. Up and until, I can't tell you the exact year because I don't remember that type of stuff. I'm pretty sure I could look it up, and I'll get better about that as videos go along, where I'll have like footnotes and where you can go vouch for these dates and things like that. But long story short, my rediscovery of the UFC and MMA, and then refinding my love for it, came around the time where GSP spouted his famous words to Matt Hughes. I was not impressed with your performance and all that shit. You know what I mean? I saw that event, got hooked, saw GSP win the belt, and was pretty much there from then on. Trained, all that shit. Was super into it. So I've been into it for a while, and when I'm into stuff, dude, I study it down deep. Like I would suggest to anyone, if you're into something, don't be into it half-ass. Don't go about it half-ass. Go about it full force. Learn all that you can learn about it. Let it inspire you. Let it engulf you. Train. Shit, you can't afford to go to a gym and train. YouTube has plenty of awesome instructors who do videos. Pull those up and follow along. You know what I'm saying? But I strongly suggest for people to learn all that they can learn about things that they're into, because hey, as dudes and as creatures, you know what I mean, we have conversations, and no one likes to be wrong, and no one likes to sound like an idiot, like they don't know what they're talking about. So it's probably a good idea to have some knowledge about what it is that you're going to be speaking about. Nonetheless, my history for the sport goes back far, and it's deep. And so what sparked me today, beyond a number of other things, but the straw that broke the camel's back, and that's got me on here in front of a fucking camera, is this Yuri Prohaska and Alex Pereira fight that's getting ready to come up for the light heavyweight belt. And anytime that there's going to be a title fight, anytime that a fighter that I'm interested in is on a card and all this and that, I go to the war room and start watching tape along with my favorite fighters. You know what I'm saying? So I'm on YouTube and on the internet, and I'm pulling up every kind of fight, whatever kind of fight I can find in regards to my favorite fighter's opponent. And also, I want to know what's up with my favorite fighter as well, so I pull up his fights. And so I'm watching and taking in a lot of taking in some of Yuri's fights. And I'm well versed. Alex Pereira's fights, his style, how he gets down, that's fresh in my head. I mean, shit, the guy just came off of beefing with one of my favorite fighters. I don't care how the world feels about it. P.S. Okay, I don't care how the world feels about it right now. All of a sudden, Izzy loses his belt to Sean Strickland, and now all of a sudden, Izzy's like the worst dude ever. What's going on, man? Thank you, for sure. But Izzy all of a sudden is like the worst dude ever to MMA fans. Like, they're talking so much trash on this dude, and it's crazy to me. But Alex's stuff is fresh in my head. But Yuri, I had to get caught up on. And so the last fight of his that I just watched that got me here was Yuri Prohaska versus Dominic Reyes, which was a good fight, phenomenal fight, dude, for sure, for sure. But I'm watching Yuri, and as unorthodox as he is with how he, his stance, he does this, like lean forward thing, as he's in his stance, and like I put in the comments, he's got this bounce, feint, surprise shot thing that he kept pulling on Reyes, dude. And he was catching Reyes with some good shots, but Reyes was catching him back. Don't get it twisted. You know what I'm saying? Like, do not get it twisted. Reyes was catching him back. But Yuri caught him with some good stuff, dude. And I'm thinking, like, this is the first round, so maybe this is just kind of a tactic or, something that Yuri uses to, kind of lull his opponent into a false sense of security, and then bam, he whips out his samurai, whatever he's gonna do, and boom, dude's out of there. And so I'm watching the fight go along, and I'm seeing that this stance and this habit and this style that he's doing is it's still going on. And then I noticed lastly that with this style comes a very heavy lean on that front foot. Whatever his front foot is, whatever stance he's in, his style causes him to lean heavy on that front foot. And so what do we know about Alex Pereira here? From, even if you haven't watched his glory fights and you don't know how amazing of a tactician this guy is as a striker, and trust, I have my favorite fighters, but I'm when I'm discussing things, I try not to show bias. But I'm also gonna give props where props is due. And those dudes that come from kickboxing usually have a pretty solid understanding of striking. Alex has a great understanding of striking, but even if we don't pay attention to the glory stuff, we just look at what he did in the UFC. Heavy on the leg kicks is Alex Pereira. Heavy. To the point, like with the Izzy fights, the leg kicks, dare I say, caused a lot of the discomfort for Izzy. Especially that first one, which kind of led him downhill. And I'm watching Yuri, and I'm like, yo, bro, somebody needs to, my comment was, hey, somebody needs to tell Yuri that he needs to learn how to move his head before the Pereira fight. And they also need to tell him about putting so much weight on that front foot or on that front leg before the Pereira fight. Because Alex is going to eat that leg up. Period. It doesn't take a rocket scientist, doesn't take a genius, doesn't take a master striker or a master coach to know or to see. Alex is going to eat that leg up. And once he starts eating that leg up, it's going to cause stance issues for Yuri. And that's going to take away that bounce. And that's going to take away that dart and dash in surprise strike stuff that he does. And then we're really going to have to see what else Yuri has in his toolbox to possibly help him beat Alex. Dare I say, and sidebar this, that everybody's completely dismissing his ground ability. Like, Glover Teixeira hasn't been retired for a little bit and actively showing through sparring clips that he's with Alex the whole way. So Alex is getting his Wheaties and his knowledge in ground fighting. Let's not get that twisted. Bottom line of the whole deal, I'm looking at that fight, and I already, from the rip, no disrespect to Yuri. I think Yuri's a great fighter. I like his samurai attitude. The little ponytail he got going on back here is crazy. It's insane. But when it comes to these matches, and it comes to these fights, you gotta look at it through a real lens, dude. And that real lens comes with doing your homework and kind of catching up on these guys, and watching their old fights and watching their recent fights, and kind of looking for habits and tendencies and things like that. And I just kind of felt from the rip, hey, this is gonna favor Alex Pereira way more than it's gonna favor Yuri, especially considering the injury that Yuri's gonna be coming back from. I already didn't feel confident for Yuri. I seen this as an Alex runaway. But you know, watching some of Yuri's fights, I don't see it as an Alex runaway anymore. But I definitely see it as an Alex victory nonetheless. And a lot of that is going to be shown and dictated in that first round. We're going to see Yuri come out, and we're going to see Yuri get in that stance and that bounce and that, almost like Neanderthal leaning forward, wanting to lunge thing that he does. And Alex Pereira's got this very, very calculated, very not so much stiff, because he throws his strikes well, so he's not stiff, but it's a very up and down bounce, and it's balanced, and his legs are apart, so he's not off balance. You can't just rush him forward, he's gonna trip or not. No, it's this very calculated, very focused, sorry guys, minor bounce that he has, but that bounce also disguises when he's gonna shoot that leg out there for the leg kick. It also disguises when he's gonna shoot that jab out there. It also disguises when he's gonna duck in and feint to the side and come back with that devastating left hook that he's got. So I look at all that, and I'm just like, yo, this is which I hope Alex gets it, bro. I like Alex Pereira, bro. I really do. I think he's a hilarious guy. Even though he ain't out there smiling, he ain't out there telling jokes, he ain't at the comedy club, you know what I'm saying? But this fool is funny as hell. The little stone Moai guy, the little stone head Moai character that they always put next to him, dude literally went out and got one. Like, he knows what's up, bro. So he's funny as hell. So I like Alex. I definitely hope he gets the light heavyweight belt. I think that he would be a very good replacement for what John Jones has left behind. I didn't feel that way about Yuri. I felt like Yuri could lose to any one of the top 3 or top 5 light heavyweights at any given time, for sure. I've just always felt that way. I've seen it in his style, and we'll see it very soon here. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I don't think that it's going to be mainly because of his injury. It's just you start to notice little fundamental defects within fighters' style and what they present to you. And Yuri's is not that hard to find. Go watch his fights, and remember the things that I mentioned to you guys about his style, and go watch his fights and tell me if you see the same thing. Pretty confident you're going to see the same thing, and if we can see that, Glover can see it, Alex can see it. Alex is not here for games. Alex is here to do what he does, dude. And I feel like it's going to be a bad night for Yuri. But that's what prompted me to do this video, because the comments, people are acting like, oh man, Alex is finished. Yuri's gonna, oh man, he's gonna do the little spinning back elbow and knock him out just like Reyes did it. Does Alex look like that's not no disrespect here? Does Alex look like that unseasoned of a striker that he's gonna fall for a twirling, spinning back elbow up against the cage nonetheless? Nah, Alex is not falling for none of that, dude. Alex is gonna get the hell out of the way. Okay, don't get it twisted. It's gonna be a good fight, but they're picking the wrong guy. That's my initial feeling. I'll do another video before the fight happens if anything changes, but I'm pretty confident in my pick here. Pretty confident. The other thing that I kind of wanted to touch on was the Francis Ngannou and Tyson Fury fight. And let me start this off by saying I absolutely was one of the people that was like, I mean, you know, if you're familiar with Threads, which is Instagram's Twitter, I posted before that fight, you know, I would love, my phone is dying, so I'm gonna have to jimmy this up and try to get it to charge while I'm doing this. Anyway, I posted before that fight that I would love to see Ngannou win. Like, what MMA fan and what MMA supporter would not want to see Ngannou win? Hell yeah, bro. I pull 10 too, bro. Like, that guy is a killer. He's a stone-faced killer, dude. People need to realize it. Get that man his respect. What Izzy did to him, yo, getting his KO finally, you know how much that took out of Izzy? It took so much out of Izzy that Izzy's now got to take a break. It took so much out of him mentally and emotionally that he dropped his belt to Sean Strickland and needed to go sit down and chill for a while. Yeah, bro, Alex is not a joke. Anyway, sorry. So, my thread stated, you know, as much as I would love to see Ngannou win, you know, striking is my shit. You know what I'm saying? Any seasoned striker or even half-taught striker would know that was not going to go too well for Francis. You know what I mean? Like, you know, following the boxing rules. And overall, if we're being honest and we're not benefiting the doubt and all that other stuff, you know what I'm saying? It was exactly how a lot of people thought. You know, Tyson Fury doing what Tyson Fury does. You know what I'm saying? One of the points that I heard Teddy Atlas make was about how Tyson Fury took the fight. And he took the fight because he's a boxer. So he knows that within the course of a round, hey, you know, these are the things that I'm going to need to do. Point fighting type stuff, dude. So a lot of flickering jabs. I mean, a lot of big movements with you know, punches coming behind them to crowd it up for the judges and people on the outside to see whether they hit or do damage or not. He's still making it look like, yo, I'm super active and I'm still putting leather on this guy, regardless if it's bouncing off of arms or shoulders or yo Francis's glove, or whatever. He's still looking like the more active fighter to these judges, and that's gonna sway him. But I'm also not for the disrespect that I've seen for Ngannou, dude. Let's be real here. He set Tyson Fury on his ass. Let's be real. And if you want to say he set Tyson Fury on his ass because of illegal behind the ear, behind the headshots, yeah, and Tyson Fury looked like he was throwing an overhand right and turned it into a right elbow, almost like he was trying to cut Ngannou or something. You know what I'm saying? But it didn't work, and he still seen it. It didn't faze Francis, and he was still marching forward. I mean, go play that moment back in slow motion and look at Fury's face. Through that elbow, he knew what he was doing, and when he looked up and he seen that it didn't faze Francis and he was still coming, oh yeah, he knew he had problems, bro. So, dare I say, both fighters got away with some illegal shots, but the most impressive of them all was Francis sitting Tyson down. As a first time, this is my first time in a ring against the best of the best. I was able to hit him with a shot that put him down and that kept him nervous, apprehensive, and almost not willing to engage for the rest of the fight, except for engaging on the outside. You definitely saw that Fury did not want to get close or get on the inside with Francis after that. But my main thing is I'm not Ariel Helwani fucking cheerleader. But I'm also not MMA dummy disrespectful, like the man didn't show something. He showed something, and I think that people should give that man his respect. But we're gonna wrap it up here. It's been about 30 minutes, dude. I'll do another video here soon, but I just wanted to kick this off, man, and I'm glad and I'm happy for the people who showed up. Thank you guys for being here. Let's get some more participation and look out for the next video. No, I was